It's taken us thousands, and we don't have thousands. It's been mind-blowing. Sleepless nights, anxiety, depression.
This is the story of a law firm that has left thousands suffering as they struggle to untangle their finances.
The volume of clients that McClure had coming in the door was a big issue here, which meant it really became unmanageable.
A former employee has spoken out for the first time about the trusts that have left some families feeling trapped.
How do you feel about the fact that you were involved in that?
Embarrassed, disgusted, to be quite honest, what they were asking me to do.
When their health took a turn for the worse, Lesley's parents bought a house close to her sister. The bungalow was put in a trust arranged through a solicitor firm called McClure at a cost of more than £2,000. When they died, her parents believed it would pass on to Lesley's nephew. It was only 8 years later, when he wanted to sell, they found out something was wrong.
This young estate agent chap who told us that it wasn't ours to sell. They were doing their due diligence and told us, we can't sell it because it's not yours to sell. Blew us out the water. All the 8 years where we just got on with our lives, we never had any communication from McClure's. There was nothing in place to show us that what had gone on. We just found out through an estate agent, which is absurd.
Lesley is one of nearly 20,000 people across the UK who've been left dealing with the fallout from the demise of one company and their mass selling of something called a family protection trust.
It had taken me 18 months and £3,000 before I found a solicitor who would actually take on my mum and dad's family protection trusts.
You totally trust solicitors, and we feel badly let down.
To wind up my father-in-law's estate is costing £50,000, which is absolutely ridiculous on an estate that was $420,000.
I believe right from the very beginning that I've been led up the garden path.
So what is a family protection trust and why would anyone want one? Well, when you die, most people have a will that shows where they want their assets, usually money and their house, to go. The whole estate winding up process ordinarily can take months, but sometimes longer to deal with. With a trust, you have greater say over who gets what. And a key selling point for McClure was that you could theoretically protect your house from being sold to pay for care home fees. The trust, which behaves a bit like a company, is managed by trustees during your life and after you die. And crucially, it's those trustees who have control. McClure started as a small firm in Greenock, but engaged third parties to sell trusts all over Britain. Some, like Lesley, have spent years trying to untangle the paperwork to get their property back.
We've had to re-grieve my parents again. You know, they died 10 years ago now. We've had to bring all that back, go back to what was happening when Dad was in hospital, go back to when Mum was struggling with the dementia because McClure's said, well, if she's not been officially diagnosed, she can sign things. If she thought her husband was coming home for tea, she was not capable, but they wanted official notification, so we've had to get medical reports. I've had to read how sick my mum was.
It has cost her family almost £40,000, as well as taking an emotional toll.
Sorry.
Wait a minute.
Thank you for your interest in how to protect your house and other assets from being swallowed up by care home costs.
McClure took pride in partnering with 161 charities, raising what they say was tens of millions of pounds for good causes.
We're the only solicitors that provide an all-year-round free will service.
Front and centre of McClure was its managing director, Andrew Robertson. He was at the helm for almost 50 years, driving their expansion and leading them to multiple awards for their apparent success.
The winners are very deservedly McClures Solicitors.
However, behind the glamour lies allegations of mis-selling to vulnerable people. As well as Greenock, McClure also had a far bigger office here in the centre of Glasgow. Its business model relied heavily on meeting people face to face, sometimes here, but around a third of those meetings were in people's homes. It says when the COVID pandemic hit in 2020, the restrictions had a severe impact on its ability to operate, and it went bust the following year.
He has left God knows how many clients frustrated, in tears. I've seen it, in tears and worry as to what's going to happen.
For the first time, a former employee has spoken publicly about how Andrew Robertson instructed those working for him to take on clients for McClure. He worked for the firm at its peak 10 years ago. We've agreed to protect his identity because he's still involved in the industry.
At first, everything seemed perfectly
Everything fine.
normal.
I mean, we'd no reason to disbelief or question anything Robertson was putting through to us in training.
So when and what raised alarm bells for you?
Robertson put forward that clients that still had a mortgage on the property, that did not stop them from putting the house into trust. I faced Robertson about this and he still insisted it could be done. Tell the clients not to worry, just do it. We had words and I said, I'm not prepared to do it, and that's it. And I walked out.
And never worked for them again?
No.
What was Andrew Robertson like that day when you told him you were leaving?
Quite bullish. Insisted he was right and he knew the law better than me. He knew the law better than most other solicitors. And we weren't fully trained in how to appraise a person's capacity. You have to have capacity to do a power of attorney. You have to have capacity to do a will.
In the course of our investigation, we've heard from dozens of people from around the UK who say they feel they've been talked into buying trusts that weren't suitable for them. They talk about the worry and the distress that it's caused their family. Some of them have approached the Scottish Legal Complaints Commission. Now, it's had to increase its budget to deal with the large volume of cases relating to McClure. And documents show that just last year, a disciplinary tribunal upheld a complaint of professional misconduct against Andrew Robertson by the Law Society of Scotland. It found he failed to act in the client's best interests in relation to a power of attorney. A complaint against another partner was upheld in 2017 in relation to a will. Both are now retired, but both continue to charge clients £100 to remove them as trustees. Another legal firm, Jones White, took over McClure's files when it went bust. English legal authorities have criticised them for taking too long to contact clients in the cases they inherited. Jones White has previously said they are working closely with the Solicitors Regulation Authority on agreed timescales and disagree they have taken too long.
What I see here fits in with the idea that we have lots and lots of trusts which look very, very similar, rather than having some of the differences that you might expect if there was a more natural conversation happening here.
Alan Eccles is a solicitor who is an expert in setting up trusts in Scotland. He's been involved in helping more than 100 cases involving McClure clients.
The volume of clients that McClure had coming in the door was a big, big issue here, which meant it really became unmanageable. The idea that McClure had about people considering using trusts is a very fair one, and in some cases, in a number of cases, would be the right answer. But the execution of that work and then maintaining it and managing it over time was the problem with the volumes that were coming in, which were unmanageable. They, in some ways, could have been the victims of their own success.
Former clients have told us they've since found out work they believed they had paid for had not been carried out.
You've charged clients money, they've paid money to get something done, and it's not done. That has to be necessary. They were also out in the P&Qs, the garden centres and the shopping centres, marketing it.
Was that normal?
You might see double glazing done in bathrooms. People or kitchen people doing that, but not the legal system.
For you, looking back on it, how do you feel about the fact that you were involved in that?
Embarrassed, disgusted, to be quite honest. What I was what they were asking me to do.
Police Scotland has dropped an investigation into McClure, saying no criminality had been established. One campaign group says its membership is increasing every day.
There's thousands of people still don't know what's gone on or what the problems they're going to face when they do find out.
Many feel they're running out of options. They're lobbying MPs and MSPs to take up their cause, but they fear some may never recover their money.
There are people that have been unable to grieve for lost ones, for parents that have passed because of this. There are people who are trying to look after parents who are now in care homes, who are becoming incapacitated through age and are having to deal with this as well. There are people that have said to me that they feel violated by what they've had to deal with.
Andrew Robertson disputes that clients were misled to pay for a trust. He says it was left to clients to decide whether or not they wished to have a trust. From 2019, meetings were recorded, so management could monitor that no undue pressure was being brought to bear. Mr. Robertson also maintains all consultants were properly trained on capacity, at initial training and ongoing through employment. If a client did not have capacity, instructions were not taken.
Is what McClure's did illegal?
I don't think there's anything about what McClure has done that is illegal. There's nothing wrong with setting up a trust. There's nothing wrong with putting your house in a trust. There are some technical challenges with it that are causing some clients some issues now to tidy up these trusts. And they are, big, significant issues, but there's nothing that would be, it seems, unlawful about what McClure were trying to do.
So what are these documents here then? What have we got?
A collection of correspondence since we found out about this that I've had with Police Scotland, Solicitors Regulation Authority, Law Society, Land Registry, HMRC.
It's a full-time job for you, isn't it?
It has been. It has been.
In the absence of any formal investigation into McClure's conduct, for now it's left to individuals who feel trapped in family trusts to search for answers.
There's nothing stopping this happening, and I don't know why we've got professional bodies saying, well, we can't find anything wrong. That makes no sense.
And what would justice look like for you?
Justice would be someone to admit that this was going on, because they're constantly denying it. I want to turn around before I die and look at a photo of my mum and dad and say, we did it, this won't happen again.